When we try and avoid conflict, all we're doing is magnifying it. All we're doing is multiplying it. All right, what is going on? How is everybody doing today? Happy Thursday. It is Thursday today, and we are plugging through the week. So I hope that your week is doing really well, and I hope that you are doing really well. I'm just chilling out. It's about to be bedtime for me. I'm about to get ready for bed. I just had a little shower. Teddy and I went for a little run with the dog, and whew, it was a good one. It's been a while since I got back into running, and I went for a run, I think 2 days ago or yesterday or something like that, and it was a tough one for me. I was cramping up. I did not feel good, and so I figured I got to get back into running, and so, yeah, we went for a little jog together. I did a little bit of sprints in the field, and feeling pretty good. Had to give myself a little bit of a haircut, too, so if you're noticing that, if you're watching the video version of this, then yeehaw. Yeah, so yeah, have you ever noticed that the more and more that you like sweep like confrontation or conflict under the rug, obviously the more and more it builds up, and the harder and harder it gets to avoid it and walk around that pile under the rug. And the reason I just bring that up is because a lot of some of the worst times in my life, or some of the worst conflicts in my life, have been like conflicts that I've tried to avoid with people. And I can name a few right off the top of my head. I remember I had this one time back in the day when I worked in the gym. There was this, I was the general manager of this like fitness center, and there was this one guy who I really, really liked. He was like super chill. He was like one of the same. He was a couple years younger than me. We were roughly the same age, and we both like basketball. We both like, he was a really good basketball player, and so we would always talk about, the Raptors, and yeah, it was good times. It was really fun working with him. But there was this one thing that just irritated me, and it was kind of like I don't know why it irritated me so much, but he was just always like one of those guys. I'm sure everybody's worked with somebody like this, where he's just like always 2 to 5 minutes late, like every single day. And you're just like, okay, like if it's just like 1 or 2 times, like I get it. Like I'm human. I get stuck in traffic. I have these things happen, but like every single day, just as like you get this feeling inside where you're like, do you fucking give a shit about this? Like, really? Like, you're treating it like, there was all these times where, you're like, oh, maybe he's just having a rough day. I'll just, like, maybe not mention it. And the second time it happens, it's like, fuck, like, I can't really, like, whether you convince yourself, like, I kind of need him today. I can't send him home. And, there's all these reasons why you don't want to have the conflict, like to confront the elephant in the room, or the negative energy. And sometimes this happens in the workplace. Like I said, like sometimes it's like something small, something little like that it kind of just like gets on my nerves, but it doesn't really. It just like kind of creates this weird negative energy. The longer and longer you let it grow, the more and more difficult it is to walk around that pile of dirt that you swept under the rug. And like, it's all well and good when it's like little things like that, even though those little things do build up. They sometimes a mountain is built by a million little pebbles. And I don't know if that's like a famous quote or not, but you can quote your boy on that. But I don't even think that's a smart thing to say. But yeah, sometimes it's a lot more serious. Sometimes it's like issues that we have in our relationships, and sometimes it is little things like letting the dishes build up and be like, oh, like I fucking emptied the dishwasher 4 times last week, so I'm just going to keep like letting the dishes build up in the sink. And then if my girlfriend asks, well, I'll just tell her, well, I can't load the dishwasher because it's full still. And, I loaded it and cleaned it. There's all those little conversations like that. Or, sometimes it's even more, something more subtle, something about like, the tone of voice that they use that maybe bothers you, it gets on your nerves or puts you in like a little bit of a stressed state. And you just don't bring it up ever. Or maybe the way that they do something bothers you, the way that they scrub dishes, or I don't know what it could be. But they're just those little things where, it definitely bothers you. It definitely gets on your nerves. Sometimes it could be something that's like serious. It could make you feel unsafe, or it could make you feel, and I think that some of the things that build up and create some of the biggest issues in our lives are these little tiny conflicts that we just try and avoid, try and get past, try and sweep under the rug. And because we allow them to grow and grow and grow, those they become a resentment. They become a pain point. They become something that you become extra sensitive to. So maybe you freak out when other people do it, or maybe you freak out when someone does it. It's just like the straw that breaks the camel's back. Or maybe something else like, okay, I've learned to live with this thing, but now I can't deal with oh, you're gonna do one other thing that's gonna fucking piss me off now. And like I said, it doesn't have to be even with anybody else. It could be something that you're dealing with. It could be something internal. It could be a conflict that you have going on inside of you, a battle that you're facing internally. It could be something that, it doesn't always have to be a tough conversation with somebody else. Sometimes it's like a tough conversation with yourself. Sometimes it's like something that you're going to have to go through or work through, something that, a conflict or just an adversity that you've been trying to avoid. And I think that that's kind of, I guess, what I'm getting at is like when we try and avoid conflict, all we're doing is magnifying it. All we're doing is multiplying it. It's like, it just creates it just makes it bigger and bigger and bigger. I think that we think, if I just let this settle itself, if I just like, here in Canada, we have a prime minister here that was quoted saying, the budgets will balance themselves, and they didn't. And so I think that, thinking that you can just like kind of sweep your problems under the rugs and ignore these issues that you're dealing with in your life, whether it's a tough conversation or something that you're going through in your life that you have to deal with, letting it sit and dwindle around in the back of your head and letting it just kind of build up. It's never going to settle itself. It's never just going to like, oh, fuck, I really don't want to deal with this thing. Let's hope it just kind of becomes a problem for somebody else and maybe they deal with it or they help me deal with it, or and I get it, because a lot of the time these things do involve other people. A lot of the times, these things are like, we're scared to do it because we're afraid of the shame. We're afraid of the guilt, or we're afraid of like the, what if they don't accept me if I bring this problem up, if I bring this issue up, or if I try and resolve it in a way that they don't agree with? Like, what if they don't accept me after? What if I'm not part of the tribe after? What if I'm not accepted and included? We have this fear of like, what if they don't like me? What if bringing this issue up like annoys them or stresses them out, and they don't want to be around me? We have this like fear of confrontation or fear of negative outcomes. And so what we do is we think, I don't want to deal with that right now. Not today. Whatever you tell yourself, maybe not today. Maybe I'll do it another day when I'm not as busy, when I'm not as stressed, when I have more time, when they're in a better mood, when maybe I'm in a better mood. You because you have this like discomfort with like the uncertainty of like how it's going to go, or whatever it is. You trade that short-term benefit, that short-term relief of the stress, of the pain, of the anxiety, of like, maybe if I just pretend things are normal, they'll just think things are normal, and then things can be normal, and then maybe I'll feel normal. And, you get that short-term relief for a bit, if that. It's really not even like a good feeling. It's really just like kind of like a less worse feeling, just like short term. But anytime that we pay, or anytime that we try and, take out a loan of good feelings when we're supposed to be, in a deficit of those, then we're going to have to pay that back with interest. And so a lot of the times, the uncomfortability that we're trying to avoid gets multiplied. It gets magnified. It becomes a bigger issue than it needs to be had we just confronted it in the first place and dealt with it. Just said, hey, I feel this. I feel that. I feel this thing. I need to do this. I need to change this. I need to do whatever, all these things. And so I know that a lot of us, some people are like me. They don't mind conflict. But even people like me, I don't mind conflict with somebody that cuts me off in traffic. I don't mind conflict with somebody that kind of messes up my work. Everyone's got their own conflict that they want to avoid. I fucking hate arguing with my girlfriend. It makes me feel like shit. It makes me feel guilty. I know it just sucks, and I don't like doing it. And so there's a lot of times where things bother me, or she tries to bring up something that bothers her, and I just want to fucking sweep it under the rug. I want to walk away from the conversation altogether and think like, fuck this. I don't want to deal with this. I just worked a long day. I just, I start to think about all these different things going on in my life. And of course I want to just avoid any negativity. I just want to feel good. So, I'm sure a lot of other people deal with that as well. Even, it kind of is the same with like my parents as well. Or anyone I really love. I'm sure that anyone can relate to that. Is like, it sucks to have conflict or have, some issues or uncomfortable conversations with the people that we love. It sucks. And I think that a lot of the time there's much more benefit than there is, I guess, cons or pain points when it comes to these types of things, because I think that it sucks for everybody. It's uncomfortable. It's shitty. It's not fun. And I think that it's something that is, it's a skill to be developed. And I think that it's one of those things that, I'm not fucking perfect. I'm not even good at it. Like I'm horrible at it. And I think that the more you love someone, the more uncomfortable it'll be. I think that a lot of the time, the more afraid of hurting them, or afraid of losing them, or afraid of angering them, or, whether it's your friends or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your parents or anything like that, family members, siblings, the more that you care about somebody, the more uncomfortable it's going to be to not agree with them or not get along with them. And I think that the more you're able to, find common ground, or at least just bring it up when you're not feeling good instead of sweeping it under the rug, the more you're going to get better at that, the more you're going to get better at, wording it in a way that people can listen better and be more receptive to it. And the more that they're going to get used to receiving that message from you and be able to do it without getting defensive and not putting a guard up, and those types of things. I think a lot of the time, obviously, we bond over, having new experiences and all the great, fluffy, beautiful, warm feelings. But I think a lot of bonding that I've had with people is like a lot of times where we've disagreed and then we've gone through tough times together and then overcome it and been like, look, like, I don't care about this. I don't care about that. Like, I'm willing to work on this. I'm willing to work on that. I'm willing to change this. I'm willing to just listen sometimes, which is something I fucking suck at. But it's like, when you go through those negative things, I think that is one of the things that glues a relationship or a friendship the most. It's like overcoming that adversity together and being like, look, like, if we've gone through that, like, nothing can fucking stop us from here. And so just in terms of those benefits with your relationships and the people that you interact with, but not only that, you're just going to gain more confidence. You're going to feel more confident about like, okay, yeah, I've felt this thing before when I was dealing with this adversity or this problem or this issue in my life, this tough conversation I had to have. And I felt it before and I made it through and it turned out all right, or it didn't turn out all right. And I learned from my fucking mistake, or I didn't learn from it yet, and we'll see. We're just working through it together. And, it's completely fine to just tell someone like, hey, look, this fucking sucks for me to try and talk about. This sucks for me to say, but I'm only wanting to talk about this thing. I'm only wanting to address this problem because I love you and it sucks for me to say it. So I'm sure it's going to suck for you to hear. Like, are you ready to hear that? That's kind of the best way I can say it. Just kind of be kind and be gentle and compassionate and patient. And, it's kind of the difference between being like nice and being kind. I remember I talked to Aaron from the Mental Dietitian podcast a while back, and we kind of talked about that as well, like the difference between being nice and being kind. Because, being nice is somebody that's just appeasing, like they're just like, doing what they think you want them to do. Whereas being kind is like, choosing to just make someone's life better, as opposed to like having to do it as a defense mechanism. And so, on that note, I think that's a pretty good place to wrap this up. It is Thursday today, and so I hope that you guys are feeling good going into the weekend. I'm feeling good. I hope that you guys are as well. And just kind of, like I said, think about the conflicts and the issues that you've got going on in your life that you've been kind of like avoiding dealing with. See if you can take a crack at them this weekend. See if you can just take a step forward or a step towards solving some of those issues. And I will do my best to do the same. And so if you appreciate this episode, if you like this episode, if you got something new from it or gained a new perspective, or at least just kind of stuck along for the ride, then please do share this with a friend. It really does help me boost me in the algorithm. On that note, I will check you guys on Monday. Much love. Peace out. Love you all. Goodbye, you beautiful human beings. Peace.